Welcome to this Price a Job tutorial. In this video, we'll be discussing the Brick Manholes module in Price a Job. To access the Brick Manholes module, navigate to the Drainage category here in the module toolbar and select Brick Manholes and create the module. To start, we'll expand our sketch pane to full screen. And if we look closely, we can see that our designer has added a small rodent inspecting the quality of our work. First, we'll set the quantity of manholes required. In this case, we'll say that we need 2. Then we can specify the length, width, and depth of each manhole, and the excavation depth includes the concrete slab base. So let's say in this example that our drainage is deeper, so we'll increase this to 950 mils. Next, we can specify the trench excavation, whether this is to be done by hand or machine. This is a job that's typically done in rather tight quarters, and easier to do by hand, as it may be difficult to dig by machine. Next, we'll specify the disposal of soil. If we're keeping it on site, we can deselect this stage, or add it back in if we'll be removing the soil off-site. Here we can specify whether we're doing the removal by a dumper or a wheelbarrow. And Price a Job automatically calculates the volume of soil to be removed and the number and size of skips required to do so. Next, we can specify the concrete. We can choose to either do ready mix and select our mix grade. We can mix on site and select our mix ratio, or we can choose a concrete pump. For this example, we'll keep it simple and we'll just mix on site with a standard mix ratio. Next, we can take a look at the masonry. First, we can specify whether we want our wall to be 1 brick thick or only half a brick thick, and Price a Job allows you to easily compare the costs. Next, we can select the engineering class, and there's a variety of options to choose from, or if the brick will be supplied by the client, we can select that, or if we're just going to set an allowance per brick, we can do that, and we can input our brick allowance here. Let's say 0.75 per brick. And then we'll specify the mix ratio. For this job, 1:3 is appropriate. Now we can specify the manhole cover. Price a Job has automatically selected a galvanized steel cover for us, but we can click the select box to choose another type if we prefer. If we want to use a different type of cover for each manhole because we have 2, then what we can do is set the quantity here to 1 for the galvanized steel, and then select from the library to add the extra cover. And here we have selections for square, rectangular, or circular manhole covers. So we can just select the cover that we want, and that is automatically added to our estimate. Let's reduce our sketch pane screen so we can see the cover has been added to our estimate. And here we have the 2 covers here. And lastly, if we require any additional pipes or fittings, we can select the box here to choose those fittings from the Price a Job library. We specify our pipe size by 110, 160, or 200 mil, and then select any fittings we require. And then set the quantity of the components that we require for the job. Price a Job automatically calculates the cost of the materials as well as the labor estimated to install these fittings. We can override the labor estimate by inputting that value here, or over here in the component. Let's round that up to 2 hours. And that is reflected here in the estimate pane as well. Here we can change the title of this module. If we only have 1 manhole anyways, we don't need to number it. And Price a Job automatically generates a well-written description that details the job, equipment, and materials. There's also a space here that we can add notes to, like for example, perhaps the building control officer requires you to go deeper or use a different size. You can make note of that here. It's always a good idea to proofread your description just to make sure everything makes sense. For example, we have allowed for 0.8 of a 4-yard skip. So in this case, what we would do is go to our disposal of soil stage and round up the skip required to the nearest whole number. And now that makes much more sense. To see the customer quote, we can go to the Reports tab, and here we can show this in either simple format with just the description and grand total, or we can show advanced with the breakdown of all the materials and labor required, and we can show that with prices or just units to act as a table of quantities. Up at the top, a series of icons are just a click away from printing this, exporting as a PDF, a Word document, or as an email. And that's how to use the Brick Manhole module. Thank you for using Price a Job.